Hi everyone, welcome to Coding 101. My name is Bonnie and I am the workshop lead for today. We have a couple wonderful volunteers here that will be helping me out today. So we have Allison, Connie, Christy, Alyssa, and Nandana. So everyone should have their videos on and have their Explore Tech background. So if you see that, you know that they're a volunteer. If you need any help, feel free to message them at any time. So today we'll be using something called Scratch. And we'll be covering a lot of introductory programming concepts. So even if you don't know anything about coding or technology, this is where we'll help you get started and you can know what all these things are. So today we'll be covering variables, loops, and conditions. And we'll be helping Mary, you see on the right, to help explore LA using Scratch. So if you guys finish the levels that we give you and we have more time, then you can also learn a concept called recursion. So first, what is Scratch? Scratch is a block-based visual programming languages where you can create your own interactive games, stories, and animations. So today, we'll be playing some games that explore the topics I just mentioned to you. So you actually have some hands-on programming experiences. And Scratch is really cool because you can just drag and drop things and you can use existing sprites and characters and you don't have to physically type out the code, which can be really, really intimidating for people who just started. So first, let's make an account. So the website is scratch.mit.edu. It's really quick and easy to make an account. You can still participate without actually making an account, but you won't be able to save your progress. So we'll give you guys like a minute or two to just get set up with that. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or just unmute yourself, and our volunteers will be here to help. So Allison just sent the link in the chat. If you guys know where to make the account, then you can click on that link. Okay, I see a couple of yeses in the chat and a bunch of thumbs up. So now we'll go on to talk about the topics. So if you still have any trouble, we'll be going to breakout rooms in like 10 to 15 minutes, and a volunteer will help you get set with the account. So first, we'll be learning about variables. So a variable is a container that holds value. Has anyone heard of what a variable is? Maybe not in computer science, but in another class maybe. Feel free to unmute yourself or talk in the chat if you've heard of what a variable is and can come up with an example of what variables are. Yes, Emily, an example of a variable is like X in math. So in math, X and Y are commonly used variables. For example, you can say X plus 3 equals 4. So therefore, X equals 1. So this is a variable, and a variable is not just used in math, but also in computer science, and is really, really useful in code. So in programming, variables allow programmers to easily store, find, and change information in a program. So instead of multiple calculations to either receive or edit the same data, the variable is actually stored in computer memory once and used wherever it is needed in your code. So this is great because you don't have to copy and paste the same thing many, many times if you want to change something. And you can just change the variable and then everything else gets changed as well. So in the Scratch level, we'll be helping Mary get to the crab. So Mary is in the top left and she wants to get to the crab in the bottom right. So basically on the left, you see a bunch of code that looks really complicated, but this really isn't that hard. All you have to do is try to get Mary from the starting point to the crab by modifying the values in the 4 white circles to the left. So don't worry if you guys don't know how to do this right away. You guys will get sent link to these actual Scratch games where you can actually change things yourself, and volunteers will be helping you out. So this is what Scratch looks like. There are some code blocks on the left with some sticky notes telling you what to do. And then you can actually press start, and then you can actually see Mary move. So next up, we'll be talking about loops. So a loop helps the program repeat a set of instructions for a certain amount of times. So think of anything that just keeps repeating on, and that's a loop. Does anyone know of an example of a loop? Maybe not in computers, but in real life, something you do every day or something you always repeat? Yes, circadian rhythms is a really good answer. A loop is basically something that repeats a lot, right? So some other examples of loops in your daily life could be replaying a song, like you pressing replay is an example of a loop, and computers actually use a loop to kind of loop that song for you as well. Running laps on a track is also an example of a loop. So loops are something that you see in everyday life, but are also really, really important in computers as well. So why are loops important in coding? So repetitive tasks are really common in programming, and loops are really essential to save time and minimize errors. When programmers write code, loops allow them to shorten what could be a few hundred lines of code to just a few. For example, if I want to play a song like 10 times, instead of writing like play song like 10 times, I could just loop it 10 times. So it could be a lot easier to change. And I could also change the number of times that this loops instead of having to copy and paste something a lot. So in this level, we'll be using loops to help Mary find her friends. So Mary's in the top left and she has to find Avery in the bottom left. So next up, we'll be learning about conditions. So programs can use conditions to dictate what code it wants to run. So there are many different types of conditions, but one that we always use in daily life is if something, then something else. So for example, if it's raining today, then I will bring my umbrella. If I'm hungry, then I will eat food. So can anyone think of a condition that's in daily life or something that you think, like why would programmers want to use conditions? Like what computer things do you think of that like use conditions? So an example of like a condition that I use in my day-to-day life, and what Shannon said, which is great, is like if I'm still tired when the alarm goes off, then I will press snooze. So everyone makes decisions every day. And honestly, all the decisions we make are a certain kind of conditions. For example, it's like if I want to sleep, then I will sleep. Like if, you know, I want to watch TV, then I'll watch TV. Like these are all like conditions. Or like if I have homework due tomorrow, then I will finish it before going to sleep. So these are all examples of conditions. And what even though you might not think that it is that common in programming, they actually use it a lot in like a lot of the things that you use in daily life too. So conditions are important because it helps us control what the program does. We can form different actions based on these if-then logic statements, and we can interact with the user, which is something that's only possible with these types of conditions. So for example, if you make an Instagram account or like a TikTok account, you have to come up with your password, right? And then sometimes for the password, they need you to have some capital letters, some like lowercase letters, some numbers, and like there are a lot of conditions that you have to meet to get to a good password, right? So they don't just like, it's not like a person behind the scenes reading your password and then saying that like, that's not okay, you have to change it. Computers like programs actually use conditions that are set to determine what like a good password is. For example, they'd be like, if there is no capitalized letter, then you'll not let someone make this password. But if all the conditions are met, then they can make an account and then move on. So level 3 will be helping Mary's tour bus get to the building, what's in the bottom left. So this is really similar to level 2, but you'll be using conditional statements as well as loops in order to figure out how to get to the building. So this last level, level 4, is where everything comes together. So you learned about variables, learned about loops, and learned about conditions today. And these concepts are enough for you to like do a harder level and combine everything together. So in level 4 will help Mary get to the soccer ball where without bumping into anyone. So this level requires you to kind of put together everything you know, and the volunteers will be here to help you if you get here. So yeah, let's start coding. A volunteer will be putting this link in the chat. You can also feel free to type this out. There'll be a lot of instructions there. We basically have 4 levels for you. And if you're done with that, there's a 5th bonus level that talks about recursion. And in terms of like the point system, if you get 1 right password, then you'll get a point. So in the end of every level, there is like a password you can put in, and then there's a Google form for you to submit things. And 1 right password is 1 point. So feel free to click on that link and get started. I'll be making some breakout rooms so that you'll have 6 people. We have 6 different breakout rooms, 1 with each volunteer, and we'll just assign you guys automatically. So you guys will be in like 5 to 6 people in a room. And then, yeah, feel free to get started. And we'll come back when there are 5 minutes left to kind of go over what we learned and just debrief. So good luck, everyone. Also, I want to just tell you guys how to use Scratch. So first, To start, you have to click see inside. So when you click on the link to a certain level, click see inside, you can see the code and then you can get started. So yeah, I'll be making the breakout room now. Good luck, and I hope you guys do great. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. How do you guys go? Can react if you want to. You can unmute. You can like talk in the chat. How do you find it? Like, do you think it was difficult? Did you know any of these concepts before? What do you guys think? Great. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. I stopped by your breakout rooms too, and you guys all seem to be having fun. So that's great. So can you guys react if you guys made it through level 1? Okay, so quite a lot of you. Who made it through level 2? Nice. How about level 3? Okay, a couple of you too. Level 4? Oh, you guys are doing great. Did anyone manage to get to the final like bonus level? Okay, yeah, the bonus level is actually like pretty difficult. So good job, you guys, for getting it within this time frame. We didn't give you guys that much time, and I think you guys did great. So go, you guys. So now let's do a little bit of recap to see what we actually learned today. So first, we learned about variables. Does anyone remember what a variable is? Yeah, feel free to unmute or put in the chat. Yes, Emily, you're right. A variable is a container that holds a value. And you guys saw it in level 1 where you guys had to change the value of each number to see where Mary and how much Mary moves. So next, we got loops. So does anyone remember what a loop is and also where we use loops in the different levels? Yes, go Joni. A loop is a set of action that repeats. So it basically helps the program repeat a set of instructions for a certain amount of time. And what we had to do today was basically use a loop to get Mary to go find Avery. So he basically had to go straight and turn right 3 times. So that was where the loop was. So last, we learned about conditions. So anyone remember what conditions was and what we had to do in the scratch level for conditions? So conditions are used to dictate what code it wants to run. So basically what we did in level 3 was basically making sure that the bus couldn't touch the water. So it had to be on the bridge. And if it touched the building, then it would output the word. So these are the 3 things that we learned today. As you can see, even though all 3 of these sound really simple and you see them in everyday life, just knowing variables, loops, and conditions can help you guys do so many things with computers. You can get through so many levels. There are a lot of different things you can do as well. So for the bonus level, we learned about recursion. So a couple of you guys got to recursion, but not a lot of you, but that's fine. Recursion is a pretty advanced topic. But just so you guys know, recursion basically is used to call a program over and over and over again. So an example you can think of for recursion would be, for example, if everyone's in line, for example, trying to buy ice cream or something, or play a game of like Chinese whispers. So the person in the back would tap the person in front of them, and then the person in front of that person would do it against the person in front of them, on and on until the very front of the line. So that's different from a loop because if it were a loop, it would just be the same person tapping the another person. Like person A would be tapping person B repeatedly, and that would be a loop. But then that doesn't really do anything if you want to, like tap the person in front of that person. So for recursion, what it calls the program over and over again, and if you actually made it to the last level, what you have to do is basically go straight, turn right, and then jump, and then repeat that over and over again until you actually get to the final thing. So it's okay if you guys didn't get there because it is a really hard topic and it might take a while to get used to. But hopefully by learning variables, loops, and conditions, you see how computer science is really applicable in daily life and actually isn't that difficult. Alyssa also sent something that was really cute, like example of Pooh learning coding. So feel free to click on that if you want to see what recursion is like in the world of Winnie the Pooh. So before you guys leave, I just want to say thank you so much for coming. If you guys want to learn more about how to code and find some like basic resources, here are some resources that I think are really useful. So there's online learning with MakeCode, Computer Science Summer Institute. You guys feel free to explore Scratch. There are so many things on Scratch that people on the internet just make. There's Codecademy, where you can actually follow along in different courses and learn a particular programming language. And code.org is also a great resource. So we'll be including, sending you guys a slide after the event, so you guys will have these resources available. But if you guys want to like get a head start now, feel free to just write these down. And yeah, other than that, that's it for Coding 101. It is currently 11:29. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys learned a lot. Don't worry if you guys didn't finish the levels yet. You'll still have access to it afterwards, and we'll be sending these out. So don't worry if you guys like wrote down notes or like you wanted to refer to something back on the slides. Yeah, thank you so much. We have another session coming about in an hour, so make sure to go to session 2 and look at all the different other workshops. And if you're involved in the College Buddy session, I'll be happening after a 10-minute break. Yeah, so thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys.